Hey, man.
Fellas.
Yo, what's popping, bro?
I've seen more. I've seen more of Tyler this week than I feel like I ever have. Like we've been on like 2 shits a day, bro.
Oh, there
yeah,
you go.
for real. It's been 2 a days out this motherfucker, man. Dog, some freaky shit happened to me, man. Like, the only time you sent me that Zoom invite was in my DMs, and I still had a Google Calendar reminder. That shit freaked me the fuck out. Like, bro, Google is watching DMs and shit now too.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Oh wait, so you never got like a separate invite?
No, the only Zoom shit I got it here because I copied the DM email to myself. Clicked on it, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't do that before I got the alert, and I just got an alert just from the shit that you sent me in the DM, bro. That's some deep state Big Brother.
It is.
Man.
Yeah, but then the other part of Zoom, every time I invite someone on, like I don't know if you guys encounter this at all, but it doesn't tell you if they accept or not. Like, have you guys ever seen that?
I don't
get any sort of alert.
We just hope the people we invite end up showing up. We really have no idea until about 5 minutes prior.
But yeah, man. Obviously, I'm P. This is Dan, co-host. Dan, Tyler, and Mike. But yeah, appreciate you guys hopping on. We were just talking to Mike about how we were talking to John the other day. It's funny as hell, and he was just like, if you want to talk to Dragonfly and Gardy, then just let me know. And here we are a couple days later.
Yeah. Now, the best part was John was a couple minutes late because he had to wrap up the LPGA playoff hole or some shit. And I thought he was being sarcastic at first. And he's like, no, like my mom was into this and this and that. I'm like, holy shit, like this is a real story. Like we're actually starting right now. This is it. Nah, he's a good dude.
So yeah, it's pretty loose. Like honestly, this is almost going to be like, if it's cool with you guys, an extension of the Clippers slander that I listened to your episode today.
I am always this Clippers slander.
Still early. Yeah, still time.
Yeah,
it never gets outdated.
That gas tank is not emptying out.
There's plenty of meat left on that bone. So yeah, we were gonna do that. Talk about like just general playoff stuff, and then I don't know if you happen to see the clip with John and us, but it's like pretty fucking casual, relaxed, say whatever you want, swear. Then Matt, you can't say the D word. Damn, I find that very offensive. I'm just fucking with you. But yeah, I guess before we get started, just want to make sure we respect your time. So, are you guys good with like I set it for an hour, but if you got to hop off before then, like whenever is fine.
I gotta go by like around 5, if that's cool. So about 50 minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, cool. Tyler, is that okay with you?
Yep, that works.
All right, cool.
Awesome.
Oh, well, I'll keep an eye on the clock. But yeah, if anything comes up before that, just let us know. That's fine.
Okay.
I forgot we're on different time zones. I was like, what the fuck is this guy talking about?
Yeah, I thought he was fucking
8 o'clock for us. But
I only have 9 hours, guys. Sorry.
Yeah. Like a Joe Rogan episode. All right, so you can lead this one off whenever you're ready.
Cool. This is episode 44, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Pete Maravich? No, who's that?
I got a better one.
Oh, go for it.
All right.
Yeah.
We're back. Episode 44, the Morse Code podcast. We're just going to get right into it this time. We've got Mike Gardabasio. Hope I pronounced that correct.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm Italian if you couldn't tell. And then we got Mr. Dragonfly Jones,
yes, sir.
AKA Tyler.
Yes, sir.
Of internet and Twitter fame, as well as Mike. But anyways, these guys are both from the Jenkins and Jones podcast. If you listen to episode 43, we had LeJethro Jenkins on. Great time, and he helped us connect with you guys. So yeah, here we are, episode 44, the Rick Fox Celtics edition.
Ah, good call. Good call.
How we doing, fellas?
Yeah, how are you guys?
I'm good, man. I am still on a Clippers slander.
Yeah, I can tell.
That shit is coursing through my veins. It feels so good.
Gardy was saying that you don't even sleep much, but I can't tell because I assume that you've just got like Clippers hatred just pumping through your
Clippers one-liners
Clippers hatred fuels me. And you know what? I don't even hate the Clippers. It's just so easy to clown them. And it's so fun to clown them. You know what I mean? Like they haven't done anything to me to make me hate them. Like, you know what I mean? They are fucking harmless. They're fucking clowns who keep tripping over their own feet. Like that's what you know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So have you always been a Laker fan?
Oh no, I'm a Bron fan.
Bron fan. Okay,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
making
I'm
sure.
a Bron
But
fan. Like
good
Bron,
point.
yeah. Bron was always my favorite. Well, not always my favorite player. He became my favorite player on that 25 straight night versus Detroit in 07. That's when I was like, this is the guy right here. And then 2016, that's when I officially thought like, this is the best motherfucker I've ever seen playing basketball. So that's kind of like the course that I'm taking with Bron.
I don't think Tyler and I don't think we've ever talked about this, but that was the night. That's like one of my favorite, probably 5 sports watching experiences of my life. Because that was that Pistons game was the day me and all my friends from college graduated college together.
Oh,
and
really?
our friend's dad had rented a house that they were staying in Long Beach. And it was like, I grew up in Long Beach. I'd never been in a house this big in Long Beach before. It rented this huge ass house. So we had like, honestly, probably 40 of our friends like watching that game together. And it was just like the purest, like everyone yelling out, "Oh shit," together, like every time he scored. But you were aware at the same time we're about to like become adults and like leave college and go be grown-ups. And you're like, this dude's our fucking age. Like, I don't know. Yeah, that was special, man.
I remember that night in the pre-Twitter dark ages, I was calling all my homies like, do y'all see Bron? Are y'all watching Bron? All right, bye, man. We'll talk later. Like, I called like 4 or 5 of my homies just to tell them, if you're not watching Bron, watch Bron right now.
You guys got TNT? Turn shit on. Channel 33. It's live.
Yeah,
I remember that vividly.
Pigeon days.
Yeah. See number 23 on Cleveland?
Yeah.
So yeah, in case anyone listening to this isn't like, I don't know, if you're listening to this show, then you must be like somewhat of a basketball fan. Clippers were up 3-1 in a series against the Denver Nuggets, and then I don't know if you went into a coma, you woke up.
Spoiler alert!
All of a sudden, it's Lakers Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals, and Twitter was a fucking madhouse on what was that Tuesday night?
Yeah,
and I was following along with you two, and then I hopped on LeJethro's live show on Dunkbait, and I was just like, dude, I could stay up all fucking night reading this. Like, I don't even have to.
It's better than the game.
Jokes off myself, and I was like, no, I'll just sit back and spectate here. But was that not the best night of 2020 by far?
Oh yeah, easily. It was. I mean, I think a big part of it was that, it was a hell of a night, but there was still a part of us that knew that the Clippers were going to Clipper in this moment. You know what I mean? Yeah, I feel like 2016 when Bron beat the Warriors, a lot of us didn't think that was going to happen, and there was that euphoria that was running through Twitter. But like, that Tuesday night when the Clippers lost, it was kind of we fucking knew they're the Clippers. What did you expect? It was like that was coursing through Twitter. You know what I mean?
Did you guys think that going into the game though? Like, did you realize? Because I did not.
No way, me neither. You thought there was a good chance they could lose?
I thought the Clippers were going to win. I want to say I had it as a lock that they were going to win. And once it was a 56-52 at halftime, I was like, Denver is going to do this shit, man. Bro.
I think that makes it even better. The fact that it was somewhat competitive at halftime. And then it's just, all right, let's sit back and let the Clippers be the Clippers and see what happens. But man, that was crazy. Cause that was, again, I mean, that I went to bed before the game ended, and it was one of those things where I woke up and I was like, kind of half asleep. I was like, oh shit, I got to see who won last night. And I go to ESPN and refresh it. And I was like, I saw that and I was like, okay, I'm going to take a breath, get some shit done. Because when I open Twitter, it's going to be a bloodbath, I'm sure. And it certainly didn't disappoint.
You saw that 16-point win that they had.
And like, that's, I think, I tweeted this today, I think, when you guys were talking about it. After all the slander and all the jokes and everything, I still think this is being somewhat downplayed how bad this was. Like, they didn't lose. They got blown out. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George had arguably you genuinely can't do any worse. It's 0 points in the fourth quarter. Second half was like a 5 for something. I mean, have you guys seen anything like this? I mean, outside of like the funny part of it, Clippers being the Clippers, this is all-time choke job, all-time bad, no?
It is,
at least in recent years.
Like, I will say this is I'm gonna get specific as fuck here, but okay, I will say this is the worst second half performance I've ever seen in a game 7 from a duo that people put championship hopes on. Is that specific enough?
Of course, absolutely. I mean, Absolutely. Like I was reading something earlier today. It's like, think last year, there were articles written last year about the great Kawhi Leonard, the greatest individual playoff run of all time, like something along that narrative. To go from that to this in 1 year is just all the offseason hype, all the, you guys joke about all the time, the New Balance billboards and like all that shit. And it's just like, you can't make this shit up. But then
lights over spotlights.
Seriously. And then there's a little asterisk at the bottom, but it's the Clippers. Like this shit's supposed to happen one way or another. And then you throw Paul George in that mix, and it's just a lot of not good things, for sure. But it definitely made for like we said earlier.
It depends on your perspective, because from my perspective, there were quite a few good things. You know, I mean, that was like the purest, most uncomplicated form of happiness that I have experienced in 6 or 7 months. So
yeah, I get
it's like we said that the Clippers, being the Clippers, gave us a sense of normalcy in a very unnormal time. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So like the Clippers being the Clippers is like fucking comfort food. You know what I mean? It's like a fucking quilt on a cold day and shit.
Yes, that's a very, very fair point.
I don't even know what's possible for that team going forward. Like, let's say they run it back next year. Oh, I feel like that team is too, besides Kawhi, although Kawhi like didn't play well in that game or fourth quarter, but they're just gonna have this in the back of their minds all season next year.
Always.
I don't know how the fuck, like, Doc Rivers has the most secure job in America, apparently, because they said that he's coming back already.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, I saw that too.
You know, I don't think that's that ridiculous of a move, because you bring a new guy in and you've got Kawhi and PG who can bolt the fuck out. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Yeah, if Doc is PG and Kawhi's guy, then you ride that shit out. At least.
Yeah.
Is he still their guy? I mean, what's the pitch? You know what I mean? Like, how are you trying to get someone to come to the Clippers right now? Like, hey, I know you're reading all these
Excellent
reports.
question.
I know that no one in America is getting clowned more than us. And I know you're reading all these reports that we have no chemistry and we all hate each other. But
But the silver lining,
we are hiring. Yeah, I mean, it was just a big wasted opportunity, because, like you said, it's always been the same story with the Clippers. You know, second tier team in Los Angeles. You know, they had some new uniforms, some new logos, a new feel, and they just totally fucking go out and flop. And it's like, granted, at this point, it's not going to make matters any better if the Lakers go and win the title this year in that building. Come next year, hopefully, if we're back in the buildings. But yeah, I don't know. One question I had for you guys was, I mean, we talked about all the slander online. You had your show come out today, and we both listened to the episode too. But what were some of your favorite, you know, like Clipper one-liners or jokes or you know, quote unquote slander that you guys kind of came across over the last couple of days?
Oh man,
there's a really the best one was who was it? I heard today. Paul George is the LeBron James of Chris Middleton's, something along those lines.
That might
so
be
good.
Yeah, that might get
That's
my
up
vote.
there.
That was perfect, man.
I remember I was listening to that at lunch, and I was like, it's one of those things where you have to stop, think about it. It's like that's accurate as fuck. Like
it makes such perfect sense. Yeah,
it's a perfect line. I like that one. I liked PG 13%.
I haven't seen that one.
There was a lot. It was kind of like if you've ever been in a writer's room, it was just like basically all of America was just like spitballing Clippers like one-liners for like 12 hours straight. So
yeah, I was about to say, it was like all of America just turned into Saturday Night Live. Here's the joke. Let's go.
Right. We're rolling.
Getting into the a little more specific with the Clippers, like I'm sure you guys have plenty more hatred to go around, but what do you think of the? Because you talked about this on the episode today. What do you think of the whole Doc Rivers, Paul George, Cali Rivers triangle?
Yeah, that's I feel like we talked about this a bit, because we were talking about when Seth Curry called Paul George a bitch when Paul George was not even really in the play. like that was some shit Seth just wanted to get off his chest in that moment, bro. But yeah,
that you can say. What do you think about it? That you can say.
Shit, man.
I'll answer the question as a father that, like, to me, I care about my job. I put a lot of effort into my job, but like, there's things more important than your job, bro. You know what I mean? And that, like, couldn't be me. That's all I'll say. You know what I mean?
So do you mean from like Doc Rivers' perspective?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? It's just like if I'm going to see you 100 times this season, we're going to have 100 fistfights this season, bro. Like, you know, like it is what it is.
And then let's not lose sight of the fact that this is Paul George, bro. He's not even worth it. This isn't LeBron. This isn't Anthony Davis. You know what I mean?
They get a pass.
Yeah, this is Paul George. This is the dude who's gonna go fucking 1 for 7 in the second half of a game 7. That's what you're putting up with here.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if it was like Paul Pierce.
Because I think, Sophie, you said, wasn't Austin Rivers part of the trade to get Paul George? He was part of the transaction somehow, right?
He helped facilitate it. I think he was traded so that they could then make the Paul George trade. All
right. So let's dump my son and let me bring in the guy who cheated on my daughter, knocked up a stripper. I believe, big move here. I believe he offered to pay for the abortion, if I remember correctly. So that's it's a nice touch, nice ad.
Pocketed that money.
And then they meet in the first round. And dude, like we talked about them bouncing in the second round. Dallas gave him some trouble in the first round too. I mean that wasn't a sweep or an easy series or anything like that. But I don't know. The one thing that stuck out to me too after all this stuff was the load management narrative all year. These guys just openly disrespecting the regular season, openly disrespecting the bubble. Lou Williams was at Magic City a week before he was supposed to quarantine. And then it's like, okay, this is all built up so our dudes, Kawhi and PG, can be at full strength in the fourth quarter of a game 7. And they fucking flop. It's like you're killing this push for load management. It's not a good case study for Kawhi to ask for some time off next year. So I'm curious to see how that goes as well.
Yeah, and they were saying that they were tired.
That's what I mean. They're gassed.
Did Doc say that last night?
Nah, I don't know. Maybe he already had excuses after the last game. I forget what he said exactly, but and even, I don't know if you guys saw this. I think Paul George came out and said something along the lines of like it wasn't a championship or bust season for us, like blah blah blah. It's like okay, well,
he said
apparently not. So
yeah, he said, "Dog, we were just out there hooping." Like I don't know what all this championship talk was about. We were just getting some runs in, dog.
I was just trying to stay in shape. I've been in quarantine for a while, so
I'm just getting some cardio in, man.
All right. Yeah. Let's go ahead, Soap.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it's weird. Like, do you think that it would have been worse if this wasn't in the bubble? Like, if the season had just happened normally and this happened,
that would have been in L.
Do you think that would have been worse or better for them?
If it would have been at Staples, it'd have been worse because I think the crowd would have been cheering the Nuggets during all of this. So that would have been an added layer of how embarrassing of a fucking franchise this is. Yeah.
I think like you're always, if you're in LA and you're in front of a large group of people and you are crossing the line against the Lakers, the Dodgers, or USC in some public way, you always are putting yourself in danger. Like you guys probably saw the clips of Kawhi Leonard getting booed at Dodger Stadium, right? Like people in LA don't, it's not even, you said the word hatred. It's not really hatred. It's just like people in LA don't like the Clippers. Like there's no affection for the team. And Tyler's like exactly right. Like they have more fans this year because they're good. Like they have the Warriors effect going on. But like a good chunk of that crowd would have been Nuggets fans. And you know, here you've invested all this money. You have this new owner. You're allegedly going to turn stuff around, and you're still getting laughed out of your arena that you're renting space from the Lakers, with with a Pacific Division champions banner up on the wall. Like it would have been ugly. It would have been so ugly.
Oh, that would have been so beautiful.
Who they have for retired jerseys, like Michael Olowokandi?
That's a good damn question.
That's a very good question, actually. I don't know if they've.
I'm looking that up right now.
Yeah, that's one pro of joining the Clippers in free agency.
Yeah, we got all.
Pick your numbers 0 through 100.
Yeah.
You go to the other team, about 50% chance you're going to get the number you want.
The Clippers are
one player has two numbers retired.
The Clippers are one of 3 teams that do not have any retired numbers.
Oh my god!
Oh, that's not good. Who are the other 2?
They got to get like Ron Harper.
Okay, see if you can guess who the other 2 teams are.
There will probably be some expansion teams.
The Grizzlies.
Yeah, Grizzlies.
Grizzlies is one.
And
Magic.
Nope.
The Timberwolves?
Didn't the Magic retire like Michael Jordan's number or something?
Dwight Howard.
The Heat retired.
It was the
Grant
Heat.
Hill?
The other one is the Raptors.
Oh,
Yeah.
makes sense.
They got to
15
retire.
they'll probably get. I don't know about that.
They got to retire.
They haven't retired
Kawhi.
Kawhi's number yet? It's already been a year. Damn.
Greatest Raptor ever.
Yeah, greatest Raptor alive.
For one season.
The other thing, kind of branching off of the, the side effects of that series or the results of that series. Are you guys as Bron/Laker fans? Well, actually, Mike, are you a lifelong Lakers fan, or are you also okay? You guys worried about the Nuggets at all?
No, and I don't say that disrespectfully. Like, hats off to them, but
Yeah.
the Nuggets were hunting out, Lou Will and Montrez, and there's nobody on the Lakers who you can hunt out like that.
Good
You know
point.
what I mean?
Mhm.
And I think AD is gonna, give Nikola hell. So I just think it's a real good matchup for the Lakers here. And like I said, no disrespect to the Nuggets. It would have been all disrespect to the Clippers if we were talking about this here, but no disrespect to the Nuggets on this one.
The Lakers made the decision. Frank Vogel made the decision to not play any dudes that you could hunt out like that. And they made the gamble to say we're going to have some games like Game 1 against the Rockets, or especially Game 1 against the Blazers, where our guards are not hitting any shots. And so it's 5 guys in the paint to keep LeBron from driving and to try and force AD to become a jump shooter. And fortunately, for the 4 games after both of those game 1s, KCP, Danny Green, Alex Caruso, like they're making enough jump shots that we didn't have to come out of the defensive lineup. And if we stay in the defensive lineup, no, because exactly what Tyler said, there's no one to hunt. Like, you're going to force the switch to get, KCP in front of Jamal Murray. Like, he's not scoring 40 points like KCP either. Mm-hmm. So as long as those dudes hit shots, the only thing that worries me in the remainder of the playoffs for the Lakers is if they have 2 or 3 games in a row where the shots aren't, the wide open shots that LeBron creates aren't falling, what do they do at that point? Because you can't lose 3 games in a row going, well, at some point the open shots are going to go in. You know what I mean? You could lose 1 game like that. You could maybe get through 2. But if that becomes a trend, that's really the only thing that I worry about. I'm sure that's what they're talking about in practice. Bro, if you shoot 40% of uncontested 3-pointers, you're an NBA champion. Like, and we just need you as an NBA 2 guard to be able to do that.
When's that series start? Tomorrow? Friday?
Yeah.
It does? Nice. I have a quick question. So obviously the reaction to Clippers Nuggets, I think, was warranted, but you mentioned earlier kind of briefly about, they lost game 1 to Houston, they lost game 1 to Portland. We've talked about this on our show a few times. Do you guys feel more than any other time in recent memory, there's been more like overreaction, crazy narratives on literally a game by game basis this playoffs than before? Like, for example, as soon as they lost that game 1 to Portland, you have guys like Charles Barkley talking about a sweep and LeBron needs help. Same thing with Giannis. Same thing with the Houston loss. Is it A, do you agree with that? And B, do you think it's maybe because there's just not as much other shit going on right now and we need people to watch First Take one way or the other? So have you guys kind of noticed that trend a little bit as far as kind of narratives and headlines?
Yes.
Like quarter by quarter.
I have definitely noticed some
crazy
overreactions. I've noticed some overreactions from my good friends as well in these situations. I won't say any names, but I think a lot of people want to get in front of the whole the furloughs got people rusty,
right?
But I think we're past that point now. Like I said, I've been on the side of things where like no lead is safe in
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you take home court out of it, like a 0-2 hole or a 3-1 hole, as we've seen in these playoffs on neutral floors, that's not a death sentence anymore. You know what I mean? Like, you got to come with your shit every night, bro.
Doesn't it feel a little? Number one, I think it feels a little more like college, like a little March Madness vibes. And then I saw something to support your point. I want to say that it was like home teams were less than 50% winning percentage in these bubbles. Obviously,
it's probably 50-50. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even just thinking like we're Celtics fans, like talking about that series with Toronto, realistically, it's like all that stuff going on. Going into Toronto for Game 7 is a completely different environment, completely different game than Game 7 in the bubble. You could say that probably about any series given who's the higher seed. But yeah, I think I've seen 50 Giannis jersey swaps on Twitter since the day they went down like 2-1 to Miami, or even 3-0 or whatever it was. It's just fucking crazy because, you know, you tune into guys like, you know, Skip Bayless is doing his thing. I don't know, Colin Cowherd's doing his thing. Guys like Clay Travis, they have these narratives, and it's like, no matter what happens in the game, they just go out of the way to find a way to formulate it into their narrative to keep people coming back. That's why sometimes I just like watching the damn games and then like taking a little break from seeing the reactions.
And I wouldn't say I think you're wrong. I would just say I think like that's those guys' jobs, and that was their job last year too. But there's so much less to. It's not necessarily that there's less to react to now, but I think there's like less original content to see too. You know what I mean? So
I guess, yeah.
So it's so, you know, the Skip Bayless says something stupid, and like, I don't know what's going to trend on Twitter at this point. It's just people talking. You know, I mean, it's like sports happening or people talking. Those are the only two events occurring in the world. So
yeah, good point.
Yeah, it's either the like happenings or the reactions, and that's it. And there's only so many of each. So
I did overreact to the 2 Game 1 Lakers losses. That's what Tyler was referring to.
Did you?
Okay. John and I were both like pretty stressed out after, especially Game 1 against the Blazers.
Yeah, I think that's way more warranted than the Rockets one. I can see that.
Because
it fit into what everyone was saying. People saying this is the scariest 8 seed ever, and then they fucking lose.
Well, and on top of that, to me, for me, it was more that my anxiety since Avery Bradley said he's not coming into the bubble.
Yeah.
My whole anxiety is, are we going to be able to shoot enough 3-pointers? I just like, as great as Bron and AD are, we're not going to win shooting exclusively 2-point baskets. It's just like not that NBA anymore, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the teams we have to go through in the West. So when they come out and shoot, what was it, Tyler? Like 7 of 36?
Yeah. They were what 5 for 32, I think that game.
Yeah, 5 for 32.
Not
And
great.
so you're like, look, and I mean, the Blazers are notoriously not the most engaged defensive team either. So that's where my stress came from. I think John was worried because it was like a little bit like Santa didn't show up, that like he felt like Bron was like like the springs were a little bit rusty, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But for me, it was just like, I believe Bron and AD will be either the best 2 players or 2 of the best 3 on the floor in every game for the rest of the playoffs. But if everyone else misses every shot they take, it doesn't really fucking matter, you know?
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's almost the same argument as like you said with the Clippers. Like, it's just, I've seen this movie before. It's inevitable. Here's what's going to happen. You can make the same argument for Bron, like, especially who's back in the Eastern Conference. He had some good series Celtics rather had some good series against them. Didn't matter. It was like, we can go up 2-0, 3-0. It's just inevitable. This dude's going to the finals. He's been doing it for 10 years. Like, you know, it's just like, there's no scientific reason to believe a LeBron James team isn't going to the NBA finals.
Right.
Like, over the course of those 10 years.
We don't have enough data to support that.
No, I cannot argue this fact. But
last basketball question, then we'll get into the funny shit, the funny Twitter shit. Obviously, with you guys now playing the Nuggets, my question is, who do you guys, and I want both of you guys to answer this, who do you guys think is the baddest white dude in the league? So I have 3 candidates. There's Luka, there's Jokic, and then there's Michael Porter Jr. Who's the baddest white?
Michael Porter Jr. I think Tyler Herro is an honorable mention. Yeah, that's a bad motherfucker.
Oh, he's a bad dude.
Yeah, he's a bad boy. But yeah, it's just
scary
Luka,
little dude.
It's Luka. It's like Luka's probably going to be the Vegas favorite for MVP next season. Like,
You think?
he's that fucking good.
You think Lucas should have been first team All NBA?
Oh, yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah.
That's the only him and Pascal Siakam are the only 2 I was that seemed kind of strange. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Second team All NBA, Pascal Siakam.
Oh, he was.
That seems I don't know. I think we talked about this before, if it should be more of like a positionless kind of thing, because if you just took a poll of, you know, NBA Twitter, anyone, do you think a lot of people have Pascal Siakam a top 10 player in the NBA?
Not at all.
No, okay. So theoretically he is if he's on second team All NBA. But there's only so many, you know, forwards, centers, whatever he identifies himself with. But and it's usually, you know, I'm not too big into awards, but I really started paying attention to it more. If you remember a few years ago, it was interesting when Gordon Hayward's max contract was fucked up because he didn't make a first team All NBA roster. And then I was like, oh, like this shit actually kind of does matter to a lot of people. And it's like, well, you got Spicy P in there, and then there's some other people who might have an argument.
Brad Beal getting left off there. I think there's a case for that. Like 30 points per game. Like
seriously, what else you want me to do? You know,
get off the Wizards.
Enough. I got playing Washington all day. No shit.
Yeah.
Actually, kind of jumping off that real quick. Just haven't seen how Jokic puts up those ridiculous one-footed like right-footed jumpers, and seeing that like a guy like that can do well in this league in 2020 with all the athletes around him. Do you guys think this just came to my mind? What do you guys think that says about like if Larry Bird was put into this era? Do you think that helps his case?
Yeah, I always thought you could put Bird in any era and he'd kill because he didn't get by on athleticism. You know what I mean? Like he's not a guy. Like you can have questions about like, you know, with an athletic freak like Dominique, would he translate well with the schemes and such? But a dude like Larry Bird, you know, who can't jump over a phone book, like he's gonna get his buckets regardless, dog. You know, so yeah. I always thought Larry Bird could kill in any era.
It's like there's athleticism, there's skill, and then there's attitude. And yeah, I would take the guy who had the skill and the attitude over the people who had athleticism. If you talk about moving someone forward, moving someone backwards, give me the most athletic guy and try and tell Bob Cousy to stay in front of Russell Westbrook. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah, right.
Those conversations are fun, but Larry would do just fine now for sure. Anytime you have a white basketball player who's disdainful of other white basketball players, like I automatically fuck with that guy. So.
He used to legit get pissed when white dudes.
Just like, you put a white dude on me.
But to your point, Mike, like if you sent Stromile Smith back to like 1963, he's like a 6-time MVP. You know what I mean? Like,
right, like Pascal Siakam. You know what I mean? Like, 1960 is like get the fuck out of his way.
Yep. I envision like the scene out of like Space Jam, like with the UFO landing and just fucking Stromile Swift coming down onto a black and white screen and just people in the crowd just choking on their popcorn, and he just cooks them for 60.
Stromile.
Yeah. Oh man, that's funny.
All right. So transitioning to non-basketball stuff, this isn't even really a question. I need you guys to rehash the peanut butter and jelly shit. Because I listened to that again today, and I think I know which side I'm on, but I want to hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
Well, yeah. Well, you know, I think what Mike and I were saying, where John was a peanut butter guy. Me and Mike are butter guys, and John's whole premise was you need more peanut butter to make a good peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You need jelly, and I was like, yes, that's true. But I don't know how you can say that needing more means that commodity is more important, because I looked at it like this, like, you know, the Jackson 5, there was only one Michael. You know, Destiny's Child only had one Beyonce. You know, there's 5 offensive linemen and only one quarterback. You know what I mean? And jelly is the fucking Beyonce and the Michael Jackson and the quarterback of the peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
I totally agree. And I would just add as a little bit of further context for your listeners who do not listen to our podcast, so that I was a longtime listener of Jenkins and Jones before Tyler and John asked me to come on the show. And to me, my favorite episode ever of the show still was an episode where they debated about who was more athletic, a rat or a squirrel. And I think I listened to that episode like 2 times straight through. And so like people enjoy listening to those guys have stupid arguments. And
I think they're both valid, to be honest with you. But
Tyler, how many text messages would you say went back and forth in the group chat about peanut butter and jelly before we recorded the podcast? I mean, like,
funny.
The fucking group chat was on fire then.
Yeah. So, and I've had to explain that to people. Like, this is not like a producer saying we need an argument podcast.
Yeah.
Like this
was us taking that shit to the streets. You know,
this was us recording 45 minutes of a 2-week long argument.
Yeah, you're like, no, we got an argument. We happen to have a podcast.
Yeah. We need to publish this shit.
Right.
The people deserve this. No, that's mad funny. I listened to it today as well because Soapy sent it to me, but I had a couple thoughts because I actually, and I think it got brought up because it's either John or someone mentioned it was like their new like quarantine snack or something like that. And it's crazy, like all this shit you rediscover during quarantine. But Anyway,
when you're in jail, you mean? Yeah.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. However you want to put it. I had one thought that kind of made me rethink this whole thing. So I'm also on the traditionally team peanut butter as far as this goes. I always, when I envision myself making it, I'm a little heavier peanut butter than jelly. But I thought, sometimes I'll put heavy peanut butter, like I noticeably more peanut butter than jelly. And I always tend to regret it because it makes it dry. It doesn't really add to the sandwich. I've also put what I think is not enough peanut butter sometimes. And I'm always surprisingly impressed. So I think right there that says, I guess I'm more of a 50-50 guy, but if I had to go one way or the other, I'd be happier with, I think, 60-40 jelly than 60-40 peanut butter. And some people are just fucking crazy. Like they're in the 80-20 camp and it's like, that's like Mr. Ed status, like can barely like open your mouth and talk. But I wanted to ask you, actually, Mike, I want to ask you, you mentioned you're a father, right?
Yes.
Okay. So my wife and I, we have a 1-year-old.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. But we kind of had to.
You're just coming out of the thunderstorm, bro. The first year is that's the craziest year of your life.
I don't know. We were just talking about the other day. Like he was like a really great, easy kid from like 6 months to a year.
It only
Past
gets
few
easier.
months has been a real pain in the ass. Okay.
Nah, it trust me, it gets easier.
So the reason I bring it up is he likes peanut butter, but I've always been a chunky peanut butter guy. We can hash that out later. He can't eat that shit. So we buy just smooth for the house. I've kind of started to switch my thoughts on that too, but have you guys ever had Skippy smooth peanut butter with honey?
Yes.
Outstanding. I have not.
I've never had smooth peanut butter, period, to be it's honest with you.
Wow.
Pretty radical statement. You should try it.
I think this is where we have to cut their line off.
It's a pretty superior product. My other question to you guys was, have you tried or seen the pre-mixed like peanut butter and jelly like in the same jar?
Yeah, with the little squiggly lines of the jelly and the peanut butter and shit.
And your thoughts on that product?
It never intrigued. Even as a kid, that shit didn't intrigue me. I felt like that shit was cheating. I was like, bro, I feel like there's a fucking art to making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and I'm not with the shortcuts here.
Yeah, it's just like you guys, it's not inconvenient it's not inconvenient enough. You know what I mean? Like it's just not that hard to make like famously. If you have to make lunch for 100 people, you're making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. It's not that hard to do to where you would create this abomination of a like shared condiment jar.
Yeah,
I would agree. I think from a marketing standpoint, I think it's a pretty cool idea. It's just absolute trash from like a product standpoint. If you tried it, I'll put it this way. It's a nowhere near worth, saving that extra 30 seconds of me having to spread.
Saves you this.
Correct.
Exactly. Right.
Certainly not worth it.
And I felt like that shit was always I felt like Tom and Jerry sponsored that shit, right? Like what fucking kids in the 90s?
Yeah.
See, Tom and Jerry. If you don't take that shit back to 1943, bro. No, we weren't going fucking crazy over Tom and Jerry when we were kids. That's some goddamn Great Depression cartoons, bro.
That's deep in the roster of like advertisers we can get for this product.
Right. No,
call Tom and Jerry. We got to keep the lights on. We need to sell some ads on this shit. People aren't buying the product, so we got to make sure we're advertising it the best we can.
In the 30s, when they went like in those pictures, they went straight from the bread line to the pre-made peanut butter and jelly line.
Yeah, exactly. My last thought on that debate was, I don't think you guys really touched on this. It's obviously a big part of the meal. What are your guys' takes on bread and how different sort of bread and how bread plays into the overall experience of the sandwich?
I feel like there was kind of a wheat bread revolution where white bread got phased out over like the last 15 years or so. So I grew up, eating that shit on white bread. You know what I'm saying? I eat it now on wheat because I don't fucking buy white bread anymore. Yeah. But I still think the best. It's fucking horrible. Right?
I've read it's like literally one of the worst things you can eat.
Yeah,
but it's delicious.
But I think the best peanut butter and jelly sandwiches I've had have been on like white bread, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also a big white bread fried fish sandwich guy. Like
Soapy's a big fish guy.
Yes, a fried fish sandwich on white bread is so much better than a fried fish sandwich on any other type of bread for whatever reason.
All right,
intriguing. Mike, any thoughts on your go-to bread? Thick, thin, wheat, white?
We're still a white bread family.
Okay.
We'll probably become a wheat bread family when the kids get older. But I have this thing of like, I don't want to force too much of the like knowledge of 2020 on them. You know what I mean? So like you still let them eat like shitty food.
It's a great year to experiment just eating absolute shit.
Yeah, for
'cause
sure.
no one really cares.
Right.
What do you guys? Because this was something that you kind of touched on, or I feel like John was making the point for you guys by saying like, if you put bread with just peanut butter, it's trash. It only becomes good when you add the jelly to it. Do you guys ever do toast with just peanut butter or like a peanut butter bagel?
I have never in my life done that.
Really?
We will have peanut butter toast occasionally at the house, and I'll also have toast with jelly on it from time to time.
Do you ever go bagel peanut butter?
No, I'm never really like a bagel guy, but we definitely we did not have any money when I was a kid, and so we would like frequently have like crackers and some apple slices for dinner or something. And so like peanut butter toast was like, yeah.
Yeah, we eating good tonight.
Right.
No, I've seen people do the peanut butter bagel thing, and I feel like that's a psychotic move. Like
It's
that
a
is
lot. It's a lot of
so
volume.
much dryness.
Yeah.
Like how the fuck can you even talk when you're done with that?
I don't think you do. That's like a eat by yourself type of meal. You certainly don't like have a conversation with your spouse over a peanut butter bagel at 7:00 in the morning. Not that I can imagine.
Yeah, like a bagel on its own merit can be a daunting task at times.
Certainly.
You gonna
First thing in the morning,
peanut butter on that shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just adding an unnecessary roadblock to
to
practice.
just making shit difficult for no reason.
I can't watch
day off too.
You can't even like eat a bagel during like a TV show or like during a movie. You got to have something with like commercials. Otherwise, you're just going to be chewing through the whole thing. Okay, that's interesting. And I assume you guys stand by those takes and John is still strictly peanut butter.
Yeah, there's no leeway. There's no budget on either side here. This is just some shit we're gonna disagree about forever. It seems
Right.
The one part I just don't
That's
get
healthy.
is like what Dan said. If you happen to have a little more of one than the other, I think most sane people would be like, all right, give me a little more jelly than peanut butter because I don't want that shit like dry as fuck.
Depends. People are weird, man. If we've learned anything this year, it's how different ends of the fence people can be, and this is clearly one of them.
Sorry, John, you're a funny guy, but yeah, I can't roll with that.
Yeah, you hear that, John?
You hear that? Hear that,
You can't
Jonathan?
fucking roll with your peanut butter.
But Jonathan,
Have you guys ever had like a legit like scoopful of peanut butter?
I bought Reese's peanut butter because I thought that shit was going to taste like the Reese's peanut butter cups, and I took a spoonful of that shit, and I have never been more disappointed in my life.
That's
That
not
was in that moment.
Nah, Reese's straight peanut butter isn't. It's not what you'd expect. It's not like scooping into the middle of a. Well, dude, look at the peanut butter in a Reese's peanut butter cup. That's not what you get in a jar.
well, why would they advertise
it
it as Reese's peanut butter? You know
Did
what
you
I'm
buy
saying?
it? You bought it. It worked.
That's how they get us.
They got me one time though.
Hook,
It's not
line,
a
and
great
sinker.
business platform.
That's
like,
fair. That's
we're
a
gonna
good.
get $3 from you to turn you
Yep.
into someone who hates us.
We're gonna
for
get
the
all
rest of your life.
330 million Americans once, and then we'll
Right.
get them back with the Easter eggs every year.
Is it crazy that I used to like as a kid, I would go into the fridge and if there's like a stick of butter or like a tub of margarine, just like take a finger scoop
no.
and eat that.
Ooh, that's odd.
A
No.
butter?
Yeah.
Damn, bro.
That's
We'll talk about that off camera. I think that's not
butter.
natural.
Butter is just straight. It's solid saturated fat. Pretty much.
Correct.
You're just like
My parents said I needed more, so
You got to bulk up. here's a stick of butter.
You were lifting weights as a kid. I did eat I ate like a thing of frosting when I was a kid, and obviously we used to pound like cookie dough and stuff. But I ate like a whole Sara Lee or whatever thing of like chocolate frosting when I was a little kid. So that's not that much better than butter, but at least has some flavor.
Yeah, a little more exciting.
Dog, I used to the most disgusting shit I used to eat just straight out the fridge was raw hot dogs.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, I used to eat raw hot
too.
dogs.
I
And
mean,
my mom
raw
used to
is the same as cooked, really.
And my mom used to give me hell about that because a fucking she was keeping like hot dog count when she found out I was doing that shit.
Hot
And
dog inventory.
And she knows a 6-year-old isn't fucking cooking hot dogs, so she was like, she would notice a hot dog too, so she's like, "You been eating those raw hot dogs again?" Yeah.
Yep, that's mad funny. No, I used to do that too. I never thought that was that big of a deal until I turned into an adult and realized you should probably cook this shit before you eat it. But
You probably
it's time.
shouldn't
What are you
eat
gonna
it
do?
generally. Yeah, for sure.
That's a good way. That's something I definitely want to instill in my son. When in doubt, you probably shouldn't eat that shit if an adult hasn't prepared it for you before the age of 10.
Good lessons.
Yes. Good. So before we let these guys go.
Yeah. Kind of wrapping up here. Probably last one for me. I know this is kind of a generic question, but how did you guys get to where you are? Like, that's something that we ask everyone, because we've had a lot of, media and social media personalities, but like, how did you guys get to a point where you had a show? And Tyler, how did you grow your fucking Twitter account so exponentially?
Yeah, I don't have any advice other than just be yourself, dude. Like, the Twitter me you see is the real me. The podcast me you see is the real me. Like, I did this. Me and John hopped out doing this shit because we're friends. You know what I mean? It wasn't like we were both seeking a podcast partner. We were like homies who was like, yo, we talk a lot of shit and this shit is funny. Let's like record this shit and put it out there. And that's kind of how it happened. And then, we got Mike on board too, and Mike's a homie too. So that's kind of, I don't know how y'all got into it, but man, do some fun shit with your friends is the best advice I can give you here.
No, that's great.
It's that simple.
That's pretty similar to what John said the other day. You know what I mean? He's like, we were talking about a little more, current, but he's like, one of the, silver linings of this year in quarantine, it's like people have time to do shit. They have time to do it, and there's not as many excuses to not do it. So, like I said, like we've been friends for a while. Obviously the three of you guys are friends. We're not doing much different, but we're recording it. We're kind of having fun promoting it and doing, Twitter and Instagram posts and shit like that. It's not a big financial investment at this point, at least. It's not a super big time investment. It's just fun, and it's cool to interact with other people like you guys. Obviously, have been doing it for much longer. But I mean, when did you jump on Twitter anyway, Tyler? Roughly.
I jumped on Twitter. Funniest fucking story. 2009. I jumped
early
on.
Twitter.
Yeah. I've been on there for a fucking minute. I jumped on there from MySpace because Wale, the rapper Wale, was like, hop on Twitter. That's where I'm dropping my link for my new mixtape. So I joined Twitter for a Wale mixtape, and here I am fucking 11 years later.
Shout out Wale, man who started it all.
are however many 100,000 tweets later.
Yeah.
500 fucking thousand.
500,000 tweets.
Yeah. So how did the original, when you guys started doing like formal podcasts come about?
We started that shit summer 2015, I want to say. Just, like I said, me and John just decided, let's just put this shit out there. Cause like I said, our conversations that we would have us cracking up. And we're like, we might be some funny motherfuckers. Let's just go ahead and throw this out there. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So how'd y'all start out, man? Are y'all homies, before this and all that?
Yeah, from college.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Basically came about around like when Last Dance came out. So like March, April, whenever that was. And we follow guys like you. We follow, we talked about, Trilly Withers and all those guys and shit like that. And it's just maybe 2 or 3 years ago, it's like, how do you even do this? Where do you even start? We would just record on Skype. I'd bring it over to GarageBand, edit it, and drop it on like a free site like Anchor or something like that. Like I said, it's really, I don't know shit about computers really, anything like that. It's just, it's not that hard. You know what I mean? And one thing we found, I don't know if you guys can attest to this too, but we've been blown away by how like just chill and cool a lot of people are, like you guys included. Like we reach out to, like, for example, we had like Trey Wingo from ESPN on, and he's got almost 1 million followers. We literally just sent him a DM. Hey, would you like to come on our show? I'd be honored, blah, blah. Not thinking in a million years he'd respond. 10 minutes later, yeah, I'd love to. Like, when you guys record, like that some of that stuff is just mind blowing to me. Now, maybe it has a lot to do with the time we're in, and there's just not much other shit going on for these guys to do. He's not at the studios or doing anything like that, but it's just really cool to, to kind of meet some of these people, and a lot of them are a lot more chill than you'd think. And it's just, right now it's fun. We were talking to Mike before you hopped on, Tyler. It's like, we still work on our full-time jobs and shit, obviously, you know what I mean? But it's just a cool, where Twitter is, where media in general is now. There's just so many ways to consume content. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty cool.
For sure.
And I'm sure that's not a unique story for most people, but
yeah, like I said, man, as long as you're having fun with that shit, like it's fun every fucking time me, John, and Mike link up, man. Every fucking time.
Mm-hmm.
Last one, we'll get you guys out of here on this. Appreciate the time. Tyler, your I guess Twitter, your other name besides Dragonfly Jones is Throw That Boys to Men on. Explain to our audience if they're not familiar.
Oh man,
I vaguely remember the tweet and the tone, but I want to hear it again from you.
bro. There was just a you know the whole versus wave where
Yeah.
You know, artists are battling each other,
Mm-hmm.
and people were throwing out hypothetical battles, and someone threw out a Boys to Men battle. I was like, bro, nobody listens to Boys to Men. I was like, Boys to Men wrote all their songs sound like they wrote them laying on their stomach with their feet in the air, bro. They made like middle school hands on the waist from out here from prom.
That's their
music.
ceiling.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's just a joke that I have just been running with for months now, and it still makes me chuckle. Funny. And I'll change that shit when it's not funny to me.
Yeah. them hopping on like a feature with Mariah Carey was probably the most scandalous thing they ever did.
Yeah.
Big controversy.
Right? Big risk right there.
Yeah. But before we let you guys go, where's the best place for everyone to find you guys online if they want to keep following you and everything you guys got going on?
Everyone probably already follows Tyler, so if you follow Tyler,
True.
his pin tweet about half the time is one of the Jenkins and Jones podcasts, but you can search. We have an account that just tweets the links to the podcast as well.
Perfect.
Or you can search for us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, any of that. And we also have a Patreon that people have been very supportive of, which we appreciate, where we put up like exclusive episodes and videos and all that good stuff. So we're basically on the internet is where you could find the shit.
Absolutely. All right, fellas. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate your time. This was a lot of fun.
Sure, man. Appreciate you having us, bro.
Thanks, guys.